Back to the race on Scripps News. The 2024 election is largely boiling down to two issues: abortion and the border. In states like Arizona and Florida, advocates believe abortion could get more voters to the polls. Yet a few weeks ago, Ipsos found in a poll Americans were much more likely to list their concerns, top of them like extremism, economy, immigration, as the top issues. So what really is the most important here? Mallory Newall is back with us tonight, VP of Public Polling at Ipsos, and joins us now to help us understand the weight here and the outcome of, the weight people assign to these issues. And Mallory, I asked, can we call Mallory? I want to talk to you because you're the most fair. You know all about this stuff. So let's start with the biggie, I guess. If it does come down to a voter prioritizing abortion, the border, what wins out?
Hey, Chance, thanks for having me on. That main issue question that you just showed, I think, is a great barometer of some of the issues that matter to people. But certainly, especially with abortion, it doesn't capture the full story. I think for Democrats, abortion is a key issue. Certainly, it can galvanize turnout, like you were saying. And it kind of hides under that umbrella of political extremism. It's an example of the extreme agenda that Republican politicians and Republican appointed judges are pushing across the country. For Republicans, the main issue is immigration. So each, I think, can be sort of a galvanizing measure in November to that respective base.
How interesting. When I looked at that poll, I never thought, for some people, they're filing abortion under extremism. Okay, then how about the border then, Mallory? Obviously, you see the images. It concerns some people. It enrages a lot of people. But has it proven to actually, get people out to vote? Does it show up in those numbers?
Well, I think that in 2020, we saw former President Trump certainly using the border as this imagery to stoke that anger among his Republican base. And I think it was one of the reasons why Republicans did turn out. So that may be the case again this year. But I think Americans' attitudes on immigration are really mixed, right? Most favor additional fencing. Most also favor a path to citizenship.
Back to abortion here. In a swing state like Arizona. Arizona, obviously, this is a prime case of immigration being very important there, but also abortion now as of today. If they're reverting back to 1800s laws, this bans almost every abortion. In a swing state where there might be these, polar views in polls for a lot of voters, do we know how that affects priorities and voting behavior?
Well, listen, when it comes to abortion, we've actually seen instances where abortion has been on the ballot in states and has had an impact in driving turnout and really galvanizing not only Democrats, but those who are in the middle who favor still allowing access to abortion or at least keeping the decision between a woman and her doctor. We've seen it in my home state of Michigan. We've seen it in Ohio and in other places. And that's why I'm really closely watching Florida and Arizona in the months to come, because I do think that these ballot measures or potential ballot measures in Arizona can definitely be something that could boost turnout for this general election.
Mallory, you brought up how category matters, and abortion, that's a catch-all, kind of. In some places, we're talking about 0 weeks, 6 weeks, could be 6 months of pregnancy, if the ballot thing passes in Florida. In other places, they're focused on IVF, let's say, reproductive rights. In other places, abortion pills, and are those, legal to send through the mail? Do any one of those poll more strongly than the other?
I think what you just laid out is exactly what we're dealing with in the post-Dobbs landscape. Look, ultimately, most Americans live in some sort of gray area around abortion. Most favor legal abortion, at least in some cases, right? But now in this post-Dobbs landscape where it's decided at the state level, what we do know from our polling is that the closer you get to an all-out ban, to a national ban, to a 6-week ban, the more support declines. That is just fundamentally out of step. It is too extreme with where most of the American public is. Even some Republicans.
And then on the issue of the border, Latinos see Donald Trump as better on immigration than Joe Biden. This is a new poll coming out, Ipsos Axios. I read it, and my eyes were this big, to think, okay, things are shifting very clearly. They prefer Trump by 7 points. What is that about?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually did an experiment in that poll where some respondents got, okay, who's better, the Democratic Party or the Republican Party? Some got who's better, Joe Biden or Donald Trump. And what we find out is that the president actually underperforms the Democratic Party right now. So the man himself in office has some room to grow his standing, but certainly Latino Americans can continue to see Donald Trump as better on some issues, namely the economy and immigration. And so I think the president, has some weak spots that he needs to work on improving over the next few months.
Yeah, that was fascinating. They said, well, Democrats are better than Republicans on immigration. And then they said Trump is better than Biden on immigration. So very complex here. Mallory Newall with Ipsos. As always, we rely on you. We thank you.